Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the um, SmackDown review for the 27th of November, 2020. And again, this show is abysmal at best, um, disappointing at worst. We actually clip that. Abysmal at worst, disappointing at best. The ratings have dropped, as would be expected on Black Friday Eve. Um, Basically, SmackDown opens with Jey Uso coming out to the ring. He says that everyone's talking about The Undertaker, as well they should be. He thinks that everyone should be talking about Roman Reigns. Why would they? Um, he says that they should be talking about him because he beat Drew McIntyre. Uso talks about McIntyre beating Randy Orton, but then he basically points everything back to Roman. Uso's about to introduce Reigns. Reigns' music cuts him off. Reigns and Heyman make their way to the ring. Reigns takes the mic and told the production truck to play it. He and Uso watch the big screen. They recap the loss of Team SmackDown. Reigns yells at Uso for losing and told him to leave the building. Uh, with his brother, they also recap Reigns defeating McIntyre. Reigns notes that he told Uso to leave the building, but he didn't, and he didn't ask for Uso's help. Reigns pointed out that Uso lost Survivor Series because his teammates didn't fear him or respect him. Um, so then Reigns said he's not somebody in the back begging for Thanksgiving leftovers. He asked Uso if that's what he sees. Reigns and Heyman then walk off. Uso slowly walks to the back and is upset by this. I hate this because we've already done the Uso versus Jay match. Unless you're coming back around to it at some point, there's absolutely no reason to do this angle. If you're coming back around to it, it better be with Jey Uso winning, and he's not going to beat Roman Reigns. So, like, you're boxing yourself into a corner with booking that is inconsequential. Next up, speaking of inconsequential, Otis and King Corbin is promised, but then doesn't end up happening. Otis comes to the ring and he walks past Uso. Uso returns and attacks Otis from behind as he goes to enter the ring. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode walk to the ring and make fun of Otis for getting beat up. And then they make a bunch of dumb jokes. Ziggler even makes fun of the fact they're making dumb jokes. Ziggler and Roode turn their attention to the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The Street Profits. Street Profits make their way to the ring. They talk about the match with the New Day and praise them. Uh, Ford is basically excited. They have a match with Rude and HBK. This is kind of funny comedy. Uh, Dawkins corrected him that that's Dolph Ziggler, but he didn't believe him, and they kind of make fun of Ziggler for a minute. This is fine. I mean, you've got to have someone for the Street Profits to work, and although I wish they had done more to build up Ziggler and Rude, it's as good as any. Then the match goes on to happen. As far as the segment with Otis and Corbin, at least we were spared Corbin wrestling at that point. But I don't think it does good for Otis, who, by the way, still within this calendar year, won Money in the Bank, and now he's reduced to this. I really think the art of storytelling up and down the card, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the time of Vince Russo was actually better in one regard, and that is that everyone on the card had some sort of episodic story. Now, you don't even have episodic storytelling except for maybe two, three stories per show, and everything else is throwaway. And to me, with the cost of television per minute, per segment, per 15-minute quarter, it's completely stupid the way that wrestling is booked by most national companies now. Anyway, Match is fine. Both teams do the best they can with the time they got. And the announcers note that if the heels win, they'll get a title shot in the future. Street Profits have an advantage early. Ziggler tries to dive. Dawkins cuts him off. Ford attempts a frog splash. Rude pulls Dawkins off the apron. Heels take over. As we go to commercial, we come back. The heels are in control. They isolate Ford for what seems like a really long time, even though the match itself isn't long. Ziggler hits a splash in the corner. Rude follows up with a backbreaker for a near fall. Heels work over Ford's injured ribs. And Ziggler misses a charge in the corner. Dawkins makes the tag. Dawkins hits a twisting neckbreaker on Ziggler that looked kind of interesting, something new. I won't say that Dawkins and Ford aren't good. I just don't like the gimmick because it's too similar to Crime Time for my taste. Dawkins hit a spine buster on Rude and Ford, and then hit a frog splash on Ziggler, but Ziggler breaks up the pin attempt. Rude rolls up Ford for the win, kind of a surprise win, but that means they will get a future tag team title shot, and from the benefit of what they've already done in matches, that's not a bad thing. They recap the feud between Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn. Not necessarily sure I like this because Zayn's already been kind of killed off, and heating him back up seems kind of wasted. Caleb Braxton interviews Bryan, and he says he accepts certain things. He accepts what's going on with Jey Uso. He's accepted Sami Zayn is delusional. And then we go to Bryan promising to defeat Zayn tonight. He notes that he thinks everyone's out to get him, and that the Intercontinental title, Bryan has to defeat Zayn to get a shot at the title in the future. Caleb Braxton then interviews the Mysterio family and Murphy. Murphy had his arm around Aaliyah during the interview. Ray praises Dominic and proud of him making his debut this year. He's also proud of his daughter, supposedly, although that's the first time that Ray has really said anything non-critical of Aaliyah in a while, so maybe they're adding another layer to the story. Ray is happy that Murphy sees the real Seth Rollins. Corbin interrupts. He's furious that they still all of a sudden are a happy family. He makes fun of Murphy. And they air a video looking back at the career of The Undertaker. They include comments from Survivor Series. Fans chant, "Thank you, Taker." I wish they'd waited to do this in front of people. Even if they had waited a year and said 31, 31 could still be like, Halloween-ish. And so you still could have done it, right after Halloween, early November, and gotten the same effect. I don't necessarily think they did everything they could with the Taker send-off. Anyway, non-title, Sami Zayn defeats Daniel Bryan. The match is fine. Cole notes that he'll get the title shot if he wins. Zayn's in the ring when they come back from a commercial, and he doesn't think he should have to defend the title on the day that's a holiday. Zayn makes fun of Thanksgiving and turns his attention to his opponent. Zayn feels that Bryan doesn't deserve a title shot. He's already been defeated. Bryan gets control of the match early. He goes after Zayn's arm. Bryan takes over on the mat, and Zayn gets his arm worked over. Pace picks up. Bryan tries a back body drop. Zayn kicks Bryan in the face. Been so long since we've seen a back body drop on a consistent basis. So then Zayn climbs to the top turnbuckle. Bryan cuts him off. Zayn gets rocked with a drop kick. Zayn falls down to ringside. Bryan attempts a crossbody to the floor. Zayn moves out of the way. We go to break. We come back. Zayn is in control again when we come back. Bryan hits a Rana on the top for a near fall. Bryan slows the pace down, works over the arm. Zayn avoids the kick, rolls to the apron. Bryan goes after Zayn on the apron. Zayn almost wins by countout, and Bryan makes it back into the ring. Zayn immediately hit the Blue Thunder Bomb for a super close near fall. Zayn yells at Bryan. He attempted a second Blue Thunder Bomb. Bryan counters out of that into the yes lock. Zayn fights back and makes it to the ropes, and they break the hold up. Zayn rolls to the floor. Bryan hits a dive. Zayn throws him out of the ring and out to the other side. Bryan hits a dive. Too many dives, and I say that every week, but it is what it is. Zayn runs to the back, and Bryan goes after him. Referee does the count out, and Zayn comes back, sprinting back into the ring, wins by count out. Michael Cole and Corey Graves wonder about the state of Daniel Bryan. They go backstage. Jey Uso is beating on Bryan. Kevin Owens and the referees run out and pull him off. Uso storms off. Owens told the referee to look after Bryan because he's going where Usos is going. And back from the break, Kevin Owens approached Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Paul Heyman. In the back, he's sick of their family issues affecting the roster. Owens makes fun of them and walks away. Reigns is offended, tells Uso to take care of it, so I guess we're going with Jey Uso and Kevin Owens, which if this builds to Uso and Owens leading to Reigns and Owens, I'd be for that. Not that I think, Owens is the answer, but it'd be a nice little mini feud in time for the Rumble or something. Then we have the typical throwaway women's match, and I say typical throwaway because I don't have faith in them pushing and continuing a push. Natalya and Bianca Belair. I love Bianca Belair. I think she's the future of the women's division if they continue to push her right. But I don't have any faith in them doing it. Anyway, Bayley joins Cole and Owens on commentary. Cole keeps pointing out that Bayley was the first person eliminated from her Survivor Series team. Natalya gets Belair into the corner, nails her with a few shots, and then hits her with a suplex for a near fall. Inside cradle for a near fall from Belair. Nikki recovers, hits a discus clothesline for a near fall of her own. Belair fights back, tosses Natalya to the floor. Bayley gets in Belair's face, which that would be a fun program. And tells her to get Natalya back in the ring. Belair yells at Bayley to sit down, which obvious. Anyway, Natalya tries to jump. Belair doesn't work out. Natalya throws Belair into the ring and attempts a sharpshooter. Bayley jumps up on the apron. At the same time, Belair pushes Natalya off, collides with Bayley, and Natalya goes around. Belair rolls her up for the win. Then they recap the attack by Jey Uso on Otis earlier in the night. Murphy with Aaliyah defeats with Aaliyah and Rey Mysterio defeats King Corbin. Dominic's with him too, so I guess they really are a happy family. Poor Murphy to have to waste a match on Corbin. Literally, I would let Corbin go. I understand that the business needs talent who are above average and good hands, and I guess if you really wanted to push, Baron Corbin has become that. But if you're not going to make money with a guy and you are letting people go because of a pandemic, why are you keeping Baron Corbin? I don't get it. Anyway, matches drag. There's cheating from the baby faces, which makes no sense. Corbin has an early advantage. Dominic and Rey keep distracting Corbin. Corbin remains in control. He manages to get pushed around a bit. And then Corbin becomes frustrated with the Mysterios. and Murphy takes over, hits a dive off the apron. Corbin regains control, hits the deep six, gets a near fall. Corbin is continually frustrated throughout the match. Dominic and Ray continue interfering. Corbin gets his foot under the bottom rope at the finish, but Dominic pushes it off, and that leads to a victory for Murphy. Corbin demands a match next week. Hopefully, we don't see that again. Anyway, in the back, Biggie and Apollo Crews are hanging out. Kayla Braxton's in the background, waiting to conduct an interview. Zayn approaches, demands to leave because he has the interview time scheduled. Zayn makes fun of Biggie for not being Intercontinental Champion in 10 years. Biggie thanks Zayn and shook his hand. Biggie wouldn't let go and crushes his hand. Good comedy spot. Billie Kay interrupts Michael Cole and Corey Graves at commentary. She said she tried to get a job. Cole gestured to the camera to cut and acted embarrassed. I don't even know what that's about. It's goofy. Carmella talks about her return and not dancing for people's amusement anymore. They air her return and where she attacks Sasha. Carmella notes people jump for her now, and she snaps her fingers, and Sasha Banks hits Carmella with a champagne glass, and Carmella is shocked. Banks threw the drink in Carmella's face. Banks attacks her and locks on the bank statement till the referees pull her off. Kevin Owens beats Jey Uso. Good match. It's fine. They attack each other at the beginning of the bell. They trade some hard shots, and Owens manages to gain control. Again, I hope this leads to Owens and Reigns, but I don't know that it will. Owens backs Uso into the corner, beats him down. He tosses him to the floor. Uso uses the steps to get things going his way. Roman's watching the match in the back. Paul Heyman's watching Roman watching the match. Heyman is actually less effective with Reigns in terms of keeping him pumped than he was with Brock. I wonder if that's by design. Anyway, Owens fights back and rocks Uso with a clothesline. He follows up with a senton, but he goes shoulder first into the post. Uso attempts a suicide dive. That's like the fifth one on a 90-minute show if you cut commercials. Come on, guys. Anyway, Owens catches him, slingshots him into the ring post, and follows up with two super kicks. We go back from the break. Owens hits a swanton off the apron onto Uso at ringside. Again, goofy high spots for the sake of nothing. Uso fights back and attacks Owens. I guess he injured the arm earlier when he sends him into the post, goes after the arm. Uso slows down the pace and works over Owens' arm for a few minutes. Uso misses a splash in the corner. Owens comes back with his third or fourth super kick and tries a pop-up powerbomb, but his arm goes out on him. Uso hits a super kick, so that's like the fifth or sixth one. For a near fall, Uso climbs to the top. Owens cuts him off. Owens pushes him off and attempts the splash. Owens gets his knees up. Owens attempts a stunner. Uso avoids it. Uso grabs a chair, beats him down for disqualification. Uso continues to attack and clears off the announcer table. And Owens hits a stunner. Owens grabs the chair, beats down Uso with it. He looks into the camera and asks if Reigns is watching. Owens calls out Reigns, hits a stunner again for like the third time, and Reigns is unhappy about all of this. Like I said, I get that it's an off week because of the holiday, but this is just, it's getting worse and worse. And this is a network television, non-cable program. What are they doing? Anyway, we'll be back with more. I've probably got about 10 superstars in the can. Would like to get those up tonight. And then we are starting the Mid-South Wrestling Series, starting with the end of 81. So hopefully you'll join us for that as well. Keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.